Today our topic is the Stoic view on facing your fears. Life is full of challenges, and fear is one of the most common feelings we all face. Fear can stop us from moving forward, from trying new things, or even from living the life we want. But what if I told you that fear is not your enemy? What if fear is just a tool, something you can use to grow stronger? This is the Stoic way of thinking. The Stoics were ancient philosophers who believed in facing life with courage, wisdom, and calmness. They taught that fear is not something to run away from, but something to understand and overcome. Let me explain how the Stoics viewed fear and how you can use their wisdom to face your own fears. First, let's talk about what fear really is. Fear is a natural feeling. It is your mind and body's way of protecting you from danger. When you feel fear, your body prepares to fight or run away. This is called the fight or flight response. But in modern life, we often feel fear even when there is no real danger. We fear failure, rejection, or the unknown. These fears can hold us back. The Stoics believe that fear is not about what is happening outside of us, but about how we think about what is happening. In other words, fear is in our minds. This is important because if fear is in our minds, then we have the power to control it. The Stoics taught that we cannot control everything in life. We cannot control other people, the weather, or the past. But we can control our thoughts and our actions. This is the key to facing fear. Instead of trying to avoid fear, the Stoics said we should accept it and use it to grow. They believed that fear is an opportunity to practice courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act even when you are afraid. When you face your fears, you become stronger and more confident. One of the most famous Stoic philosophers was Epictetus. He was born a slave, but he became a great teacher. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that you cannot always control what happens in life, but you can control how you respond. For example, if you are afraid of public speaking, you cannot control the fact that you feel fear. But you can control how you react to that fear. You can choose to avoid speaking in public, or you can choose to face your fear and speak anyway. The Stoics would say that facing your fear is the better choice because it helps you grow. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This means that our fears are often worse in our minds than they are in real life. For example, if you are afraid of failing at a new job, you might imagine all the bad things that could happen. You might think, what if I make a mistake? What if my boss fires me? What if my coworkers don't like me? But these thoughts are just in your mind. In reality, you might do well at the job and enjoy it. The Stoics would say that you should focus on what is real, not on what you imagine. Instead of worrying about what might happen, focus on what you can do right now to prepare and do your best. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, also wrote about fear. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This means that you cannot control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you think about it. For example, if you are afraid of losing your job, you cannot control whether your company will lay you off, but you can control how you prepare for the future. You can update your resume, learn new skills, or save money. By focusing on what you can control, you reduce your fear and feel more empowered. So, how can you use Stoic wisdom to face your fears? Here are some practical steps. First, recognize your fear. Be honest with yourself about what you are afraid of. Is it failure? Rejection? The unknown? Once you know what your fear is, you can start to work on it. Second, remind yourself that fear is in your mind. It is not the situation itself that is scary, but how you think about it. Ask yourself, is this fear real, or is it just in my imagination? Third, focus on what you can control. You cannot control everything, but you can control your thoughts and actions. For example, if you are afraid of failing an exam, you cannot control the difficulty of the exam, but you can control how much you study. Fourth, take action. The best way to overcome fear is to face it. Start with small steps. If you are afraid of public speaking, start by speaking in front of a small group of friends. As you gain confidence, you can speak in front of larger groups. The Stoics also believed in practicing gratitude. When you focus on what you are grateful for, you shift your attention away from fear. For example, if you are afraid of losing your job, remind yourself of the skills and experiences you have gained. Be grateful for the opportunities you have had and the people who support you. Gratitude helps you see the positive side of life and reduces your fear. Finally, the Stoics believed in accepting what you cannot change. Life is unpredictable, and bad things can happen. But instead of fearing the unknown, accept it as part of life. The Stoics called this Amor Fati, which means love of fate. This means that you should not only accept what happens, but also embrace it. For example, if you lose your job, instead of being afraid of the future, see it as an opportunity to find a better job or to learn something new. By accepting what you cannot change, you free yourself from fear and open yourself to new possibilities. In conclusion, the Stoic view on facing your fears is about understanding that fear is in your mind and that you have the power to control it. Fear is not something to avoid, but something to face and overcome. By focusing on what you can control, taking action, practicing gratitude, and accepting what you cannot change, you can reduce your fear and live a more courageous and fulfilling life. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. So, the next time you feel afraid, don't run away. Stand tall, face your fear, and use it as an opportunity to grow. This is the Stoic way, and it is a powerful way to live.